dangles 35,000 naira wage top-up and others for workers as organized labor revisits decision. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Gani Kairi Balogun. So if you're ready, the hangout starts now. Thank you for staying with us. Let's begin with the legal fireworks over President Bola Tinubu's academic record in the United States of America. In continuation of the legal battle, the United States District Court in the Northern District of Illinois has ordered the Chicago State University to release President Tinubu's academic record. Jide, what is the implication of this? Release the academic record of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Bola Ahmed Tinubu appealed this decision last week, and the way it is now, the record should be released today.
That is if they do not appeal before a higher court. That is not the... Every state in the U.S. has its own Supreme Court. They can appeal. It all depends on what the lawyers want. Because I've spoken with some lawyers and they were saying, look, it's not as if Atiku can find a smoking gun. But in law, we will not make it easy for you. That's why you see people who knew that, okay, they lost an election. They will still try to, lawyers will still try to pursue.
Why do you think Bola Tinubu does not want Atiku to have access to his academic record?
He's the one who can answer that question. But for me, if you are asking for my transcript, for example, I will oppose it. Because in my first few years in the university, I was very playful, I was distracted, and I didn't do quite well. But as time went on, and it dawned on me that is anything wrong with you? Then, if my performance in my last year in the university, if I had been that serious on the beginning, I would have conveniently scored a 2-1.
Convenient.
Yes, nobody scored the first class in Unilorin at that time. Faculty of Arts, Faculty of Social Sciences. Where are you going to see 2-1 first class? If you have, in fact, Faculty of Social Sciences, if you have 2-1, they will jubilate in the Unilorin that I attended. So back then, first class was a reality. Ask anybody that went to school the same time with me, or even some years before me.
The same thing to
so
the 90s.
it was not easy. But I'm saying that if I had worked hard, the way I worked hard in my final year, with those high unit courses, that was the way I did well in my first 2 years, for example. I would have conveniently been...
The more your CGPA, the more cumbersome it becomes too.
So I was, you know, I got involved in the press club and so many other things that distracted me, you know. If you said you wanted to check my transcript, for example, I would say why. I would defend it with all that I've got. Because you can use it, you can ridicule me with it because I didn't do quite well. It's my first 2 years, and I'm not ashamed to say it because at the end of the day, I got what I wanted, and I'm happy that I'm living my dream. So it's not something to be afraid of. I'm confessing my first 2 years. So the people who went to school with us, they know I'm saying the truth. I will not read, just even when I was in A-levels, I will only prepare for exam when it's like 1 day, 2 days to the exam. I will not study at night the way others were studying. So everyone has a past. Everyone has something that they want to guide jealously. Some of the people saying today that why does he want to, how many of them can produce their transcript? How many of them? Some people, if you scrutinize how they even got into university, some of them got into university with forged papers. Some of the people making all the noise, they can't even defend their degrees. Let them come out, let's ask them questions about their area of study. They can't defend. We are in an age when people, you see somebody told me that he entered a master's class and he felt like crying to tell you the level to which education has sunk in our country.
Did you listen to that quiz competition?
The Big Brother, funny people. Yes. If we play, they don't even know anything. They don't know jack about their country. Somebody who read law does not even know
Court of Appeal.
He doesn't know what they asked him.
No judiciary.
They doesn't know anything about the judiciary. So let's even leave that. Let's not distract ourselves with that. But it is Tinubu knows why he does not want those records released. In any case, as Atiku brought his own academic records to the table for us to scrutinize all of his days in that school in Kano that he went to. As he brought it out, does anyone know his performance in school as a primary school student or even secondary school? Has he made that available to everybody? No, it's easy to say because someone is president, he has to bring. How often does that happen? I can tell you what they've told the courts in the U.S. is that they need it for Supreme Court. But you and I know, and in the fullness of time, you see that what they are looking for is useless. The Supreme Court will not take a fresh evidence. What you did not, is what we already know, that what you did not file, what you do not plead at the lower court, you can't take before even the appeal court, not to talk of a Supreme Court. There are processes about this thing, but they say, they must give them before October 5, so that, okay, when they give you, use it to remove him as president. Let us see. But they've succeeded in getting the Americans to do their bidding, except the lawyers. I don't know what will happen. Maybe at the last minute, the lawyers can still appeal. We don't know.
12 noon in their own time.
But in terms of the evidence, they cannot use whatever is provided at the Supreme Court.
Okay. Now, we want to look at the nexus between what they're doing and the Supreme Court. Me, I had to call my lawyer friend that what bearing
does he have on
the ongoing case at the Supreme Court, and he was like, no. So that it might just be an academic exercise
to embarrass him,
to embarrass and to damage.
If they can find something,
Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Yeah, I think the matter is beyond whether Atiku wants to be president this time or not. Atiku has made up his mind what the Yoruba will call Kakekuma Gesisi. That's the principle. I've known this man all my life. I was his boss in PDM. He was my boy when I was vice president. Now he's president before me. That cannot happen. But it has happened. What can I do to make myself feel better? Let's destroy his image. Because legally, there's nothing they can do. I called our lawyers. So what's this? What does it mean? And they said, it meant nothing. And basically, this is what the Americans themselves will call gaslighting. Basically, something to just throw you off the scent. So the people will ask you, well, you did not win this election. And you cannot tell them, no, I did not win, but I would have won if this man was not on the ticket.
No, the strategy is still the same.
Yeah.
They know that they didn't win the election. And they do not have evidence to show that they won.
Yeah.
Their whole strategy was built around having Bola Ahmed Tinubu disqualified. Disqualified. Especially the Labour Party. No one has shown me where Peter Obi argued that he won the election and provided the figures.
Yeah.
That, okay, these were the votes that I scored in Kano. This was what was recorded against my name.
This is the outstanding.
This is what they stole from me by way of votes that I won legally. Peter Obi didn't do that. All they're after is, the vice president is not legally nominated. Therefore, he should be disqualified. Even after to show you that it's like they were just looking for.
They are fish.
When the Supreme Court ruled on May 28th that the vice president was legally nominated, and became candidate legally, you would think that they won't be pushing that same argument at the lower tribunal. at the appeal court, at the presidential election petitions court. They still argued that frenetically. Even after another of the most superior court in our country has given. So if they had grounds, valid grounds, enough valid grounds, you won't be pushing a matter that already decided against you in the apex court of the land.
Labor is even fine. APM was dismissed from Supreme Court on the very matter. They are now going back to the same Supreme Court after going through the process to return to the same judges that told you less than 3 months ago that you have no case.
So their best bet was to have Tinubu disqualified. That was their biggest strategy because they cannot prove that they won the election. So get him out of the race. Get him disqualified. That was all they wanted. So even this one, the evidence here will not prove that you were the one that Nigerians voted for. The evidence that you are looking for in the US will not prove that you won the election, that Nigerians elected you over and above this fellow. You are just thinking that, okay, you can use this to embarrass him. And I read something, one of the Twitter posts that Atiku made then. Atiku said that we even want to see the certificate that he used to get into that university. What Atiku failed to know, because he neither studied in any university in Nigeria nor the US. What Atiku does not know is that in the US, you do not even need a certificate to get into a university. Many universities will conduct an aptitude test for you. If you can pass, they allow you.
Or TOEFL.
Yes.
In America, particularly.
I have a friend who did not use his secondary school certificate, and he graduated from a US university as an engineer with honors.
Test of English as a foreign language.
Yes.
Scholastic aptitude tests.
They do this aptitude test for you. The aptitude test is the true test of your grasp of issues and all that. So when I read that, I said, what if that man didn't even
go through?
So maybe they thought he has some forged certificate somewhere, you know, with one funny name that he used to get into the university. But you don't have in the US. Some were also arguing that how come he spent just 2 years. And I've mentioned the case of my mom. My mom called me yesterday to say, I heard when you were mentioning my name.
Yeah.
She got into the US university. She left Nigeria December 1980 and came back in the summer of 82 with a degree and a master's. She only had NC from Advanced Teachers College, Kano, before she traveled to Ohio, and a degree and a master's. So their system is different. You expect that, okay, you must spend 4 years. But that is not it's the course system that they use. So you log all of those hours. If you are very hardworking, you can get your degree in a matter of 1 year.
Yeah, you can even do both together at the same time. Because most of the time, I think what we are really looking at, like you mentioned, was basically a man grasping at straws. Because if it's not legally binding to disqualify the president, what is the purpose of this?
Maybe some lawyers told him, look, you can still succeed at the Supreme Court. Have we not seen lawyers who sheepishly told politicians that the Supreme Court can reverse itself? And not one, no, not twice, not thrice. The politicians do it. They lost to. They went back to the same Supreme Court. Andy Oba did it.
Yes.
Andy Oba did it.
The Imo statesman, the Okorocha.
How do you go back to the Supreme Court? And that was why one of the judges of the Supreme Court burst into tears, that she never knew that day would come when senior lawyers who should know better will come and tell the Supreme Court to reverse itself. It's against the Constitution for the Supreme Court to reverse it. So it could be this kind of lawyers who told them, look, we can still win at the Supreme Court.
Okay. All right. A rare occurrence in Nigeria's economic environment is a drop in the prices of goods and services in the market, but it's happening before our own eyes in the building sector. Buhari Cement PLC has announced the reduction of the price of its cement products from 5,500 to 3,500 naira a bag, starting from the 2nd of October. Yes, the announcement came a few weeks after the company's chairman, Abdul Samad Rabiu, met with President Bola Tinubu and promised to review the price of cement. Buhari Cement said the decision is to spur development in the building materials and infrastructure sectors. Today, because a lot of people, they've left their buildings, they've left everything, because when you have to buy a bag of cement for 5,000, for 4,000, it's not really making sense.
5,004.
If you want to just, erect a fence like across your house and everything, you are talking about millions.
A lot of money.
To get, is it 6 and 9 of
Blocks.
blocks, and you now add cement, you add gravel, you add granite, everything that they use.
Reinforcement, everything related to building is costly now.
Yeah.
Especially reinforcement.
Decking and all.
Iron rods and all that are extremely expensive. Nigeria does not produce
any of it.
enough steel. You have to import.
Jakarta steel companies are working.
No.
Comatose.
What's it called? So you have to import. So all of those, but cement is the most critical component in building. But we've seen a situation in which the price of cement has been going up steadily in our country. We have to thank Buhari. And I think this is not the first time that Abdulsamad Isakarabi will do this. There was a time when we were approaching Salah, when he crashed the price of sugar, because he knows people will drink cocoa, and they will use a lot of sugar during that
during fasting.
So during fasting, so he crashed the price. This is not the first time. He just happens to be that kind of person who feels for the people.
For the components to make cement, we get everything here locally.
The limestone is there.
We have limestone, we have gypsum. Those are the things that they use. The cost of cement will go up because even diesel and other variables have gone up. And they too, they need to pay worker salaries. At the end of the day, they need to ensure that, okay, we can make profit. That's the only way the business can.
And they also have to do insurance because of the hazardous nature.
Yes, that's the only way the business can go on. But he has chosen now to take 2,000 off the price. I think that is significant. After meeting the president, because for me, at this time that we found ourselves, everyone should be ready to make sacrifices. The ordinary man is making sacrifices. The people in government must make sacrifices. The people in the National Assembly must make sacrifices. Business people, big business people. Abdulsamad Isakarabi is one of the 3 richest Nigerians. So he's making, and he's a man who started from the scratch. I knew him in Kano when he was importing complete knockdown parts. He was under 40 when he was already a multimillionaire. He came from a rich family, but he has built on the wealth that he made during his early years. He has built on it tremendously. That he too is also is building a refinery now. So what he has done, we expect that Dangote will follow suit because he's a market leader in that sector.
Yes.
And his cement brand is the most
recognized.
Is the most ubiquitous in the market. So others, whether it's Dangote or West African Portland cement, the Elephant brand, they also need to follow suit. Because at the end of the day, I'm sure that he knows that he will still make profit from this. And the most significant thing that I've seen is for him to even say, okay, others, even others that were made prior to now, they will still pay that 3,500. You understand? Those who placed order a long time ago in the old price, they will still deliver to them in the new price. All that is asking for is, okay, the Nigerians, the end users that we have designed this for, please let it get to them. One of the pains that I feel as a person is that Kogi, Obajana, is where we have the Dangote's biggest plant. Ask anybody who resides in Kogi State the price of cement in Kogi. In fact, in most cases, it's even more expensive in Kogi than Lagos. Yes.
Imagine.
I'm telling you.
And they have the cement
it's not an exaggeration. Ask people.
I know.
It's more expensive in Kogi than some parts of Nigeria. And that's where it is produced.
Yeah,
The bulk of it.
They don't use economy of scale.
I don't understand how that happens. It can't go on like this without the construction sector being affected negatively. The price has to come down. So I expect that after this,
other major players,
others will also announce reduction. Yes, if not even bigger than what Abdul Samad Karabiu has done. But as a Nigerian, I praise him. And even cement stakeholders have said, see, in this sector, let us take away favoritism and monopoly. That's the best for
That's where I was going.
Okay, it's like a clarion call to Alhaji Dangote.
Yeah, to everybody.
Dangote cement must come down so that Nigerians can access.
Well, for the first time in a long while, we are playing the capitalist game the way it ought to be played. Because monopolies have taken over our country so much that we assume that the one-man show is the way it's done everywhere. It's not. Don't forget the cola wars. Don't forget the brand wars. Even between Nigerian breweries and Guinness, if you remember. The second player must always be the one to disrupt the market. And I don't even think Alhaji Rabiu has gone far enough. Because I expect him to totally crash that market in such a way that his own share of the market will grow to a level that will be the preferred seller of cement in Nigeria. I know it's going to be difficult. But I was telling somebody already this morning, if marketers have handled this, he has done a wonderful thing, don't get me wrong. But we need some people to come into the system.
They said they will do more when they finish their...
Because unless that is done, the monopoly will continue to put us down. 3 years ago, to deck a building of 2 flats is 4.5 million. The same building today, you require 12 million naira.
Because of
4 years apart?
Yes.
The steel, the reinforcements, pillars, what do you have to...
12 million naira.
Cement.
The same 2 years ago, we were building our church. Cement was 2,800, 3,000. Some people are buying cement for 6,000.
6,000. I know people who have run away from it. There's a church in Ibadan. I think it's 100 and something years old. They wanted to restructure this church. The bill was given to them for cement was more than the money paid for the land and the church. And the salaries they paid since the church started 100 years ago. Just for repairs. And then you wonder where we are going in this country. Because unless we start doing business the way it's meant to be done, start cutting down monopolies, stop giving people incentives they don't need. The Nigerian market is too big for one man to control. It's not right. Because you give somebody who is going to sell his cars, you give him concession. Somebody who's going to sell his cement, you give him concession.
I agree with you. Let us have a level playing field.
Yeah.
A person can still dominate a market.
Yeah, but dominate it not with the favors of the states.
Not through the designs of the government.
Yeah.
That you crush some people on someone's behalf.
Why you are closing the border?
No.
For everybody.
You
should not allow individuals.
Somebody gave that example. But what I'm saying is, a person can dominate a
No, you can still rise to be number one.
Yes.
But let it be based on the fact that free entry, free exits. Not that everybody will enter freely, but somebody will now put your hand in your back and then give you one glove.
And use influence to crush others.
Yeah, it's not done. We want to do a capitalist system. Let's play the capitalist game the way it is designed to be played. And capitalism is basically about competition.
All right.
Not about favoritism.
Okay. We'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout on Monday.
Like many things in life, making great music is a process. And a key part of that is the right data and the data that helps you understand what needs to be done and how to do it and what sound will connect with listeners.
No, bring it up. Let's go right see.
Whatever aspect of life you're into, enjoy the journey. 9 Mobile's got you covered.
Dial *301# now.
9 Mobile.
always thought that trading was for people who say get brain or then get bar. Until my guy linked me up with consummate traders. That's how I started chasing my dream. These guys funded me. They gave me tools, skills, and formats. They didn't just leave me on my own. And before I knew what was happening, boom! My first trading was successful. I started balling and chopping life beyond my imagination. And I even chased those dreams that seemed bigger than me. What next? Of course I had to pay it forward by showing others the right way to trade. We fund, you trade, we pay. Consummate traders.
Kindly sign up with Consummate Traders today at www.consummatetraders.com.
In today's world, our lifestyle, both at work and at play, depends on connectivity. Our connectivity depends on the devices that make it possible, and these devices depend on electric power. When power fails, our life shrinks, our work drops, and our joy dips. JRB Solar Energy Systems are here to ensure that we enjoy uninterruptible power, uninterruptible joy. Whether you're running a business, an institution, or just a home you return daily to rest, JRB has got you covered. No project is too big for our super digital inverters, long-lasting batteries, and efficient solar panels. Go. Dream on. Change your world. JRB solar inverters, batteries, solar panels, solar streetlights, and more. Telephone 0906 752 1111. Email sales@jrbsolar.com. With JRB, the sun's gonna shine on everything you do.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV Station of the Year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Thank you for staying with us. It's still a public holiday in Nigeria to celebrate our 63rd anniversary. Nigeria is 63, and I still have Babajide Kolade Otitoju in the studio, and GKB Kairi Balogun, and we are looking at the cement price slash and the politics of that industry. Thank you.
Yeah, so some time ago, people were bringing in imported cement. And imported cement was even cheaper than the local brands. It afforded many Nigerians the opportunity to be able to build their own houses. Somehow, government policy changed, and this whole idea of rebagging cement, importing cement and then rebagging in Nigeria, government said it was no longer going to allow it. Today, access to cheaper cement is gone. Now, our people are forced to buy very expensive cement, and for that reason, people have houses that they built halfway, they can't complete because it's a lot of money. A lot of money. So I still think that we can go further down on this, the current pricing. If BUA can reduce 2,000 naira
from 5,500,
it means that others can do even better. After all, it's not the only one making money in the business. So we expect others to follow suit, and government has to also take the matter of monopolistic tendencies of some business people in Nigeria. The government has to take a dim view of it, because at the end of the day, there's nothing that will benefit from
nothing.
Yes, from
Monopoly.
Monopoly.
Okay, I have Awal Hassan on the line. Thank you for joining us, Awal.
Sure.
Yes, sir. You want your intervention on our previous topic?
Yes, please. I tried to get you, but couldn't get through on time. You see, my take is, Atiku has no contest. He's not contesting the results. He has agreed that Asiwaju won the election. He has agreed that he has come second. So what he's talking about is Asiwaju's certificate. And I think it's a shame for somebody to be talking about a certificate of someone that has served as a senator, someone that has served as a governor of a state like Lagos, and Lagos that has made a country of its own. He made Lagos became a country of its own. Let him look at the budget of Lagos State. Asiwaju was governor for 8 years. Asiwaju was senator in 1991 from Lagos. And after 40 years of being a senator and about 20 years of being a governor for 8 years, someone is contesting your certificate of study. So he has agreed that Asiwaju won the election, but he does not agree with the certificate.
Did they agree?
I think we need to do this well.
Alwa, did they really agree that Asiwaju won the election?
Yeah, but he's not contesting. He's not contesting the
No, but he has
results,
gone to the Supreme Court. He has gone to Supreme Court.
But Atiku was what Atiku is contesting, Babajide, is just the school certificate, Asiwaju's school certificate. I don't think we have heard anything about him contesting the result. It is Peter Obi that is contesting the result.
No, we check what the
prayers they asked for.
His lawyers have filed an appeal before the Supreme Court. And it's challenging the outcome of the...
Babajide, even at that, we are talking about the school start now or in Chicago. Do we need to ask somebody that has been governor for 8 years or whether he has been to school? Is the 8 years of being a governor not enough experience and certificate for you to be president of Nigeria? 8 years of being a governor of Lagos State? That is not our state now.
That's not what the Constitution says. The Constitution says that you need just evidence that you went to secondary school.
Yeah, secondary school.
What's your opinion on what Abdul Samad Isakarabi, your town man, has done?
Abdul Samad is a fantastic guy, Babajide. Abdul Samad is a fantastic guy. Just as you said, and you've been following him, during Ramadan, during COVID. In fact, during COVID, he shared the palliatives by himself. He went into nooks and crannies of Kano and shared the palliatives by himself. You need to go to Kano and see what Bua is doing in Kano to the poor people of Kano and the people around their homes in Goranduse. He's doing a fantastic job and a philanthropist to the core, and we thank him for this. We also want to hear what Aliko will contribute to this hardship that people are going through. These are people that have used the numbers of Nigerians, 200 million Nigerians, to make money. So it's time to give back to the people. It's time to give back to your country. Bua did very well, and we always cheer him for that.
Thank you, Hawan. Thank you, Hawan.
So much.
All right. And finally, it appears organized labor in Nigeria has run out of patience over petrol subsidy removal. Hence, last-minute effort by the federal government to prevent the bubble from busting. President Bola Tinubu has approved 35,000 naira provisional wage for the federal government workers for 6 months. The Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, announced the update on the decision earlier made by President Tinubu during his Independence Day address. Let's hear from the Chief of Staff and Labour on the development regarding the negotiations.
I am happy to say that after 4 hours, we have reached certain agreements that inure to the benefit of the Nigerian worker. Agreements on wage bill, agreements on committees, on salary increment, agreements on the CN bosses, agreement on several other things, I believe, both TUC, Labour, and government side.
We have looked at almost all the issues, all the promissory notes, from the government, and we looked at how to translate them to reality. you know, and to be workable. And then we're going to take those promises to our organs. Of course, you know, these people here cannot just wake up and review and call off action. So, like he said, we're hopeful that our organs will have a look at them and give us a fresh mandate on what next to do.
Wow. So, what is this about, gentlemen? 35,000 naira provisional wage for the federal government workers for 6 months. What's the meaning of this?
And it will go around every worker. You know, when the president in his Independence Day speech talked about low-grade workers, people said, it's everybody that you can, and low-grade could be level 1 to 6.
Traditionally.
But it's every worker that feels the pinch. It's every worker that is suffering at this time. It's just that the scale of suffering differs. You know, some people don't have any side hustle that they do. It's still their salary that they rely on. In Abuja, some people can't even go to work every day because of the cost. So for this category of people, Labour has said, okay, government, what are you doing? You want to go on strike. And just as we appeal to the president, look, you have to intervene. You must not let this strike happen. You let this strike happen, it will be extremely damaging. And look, we are in perilous times. People need just a little trigger. Look at what some people try to do here in Lagos. You converge on Mori Okunla. From Mori Okunla, the celebrities who organized the thing, they had left for their homes. And they told you, everybody go home. Some of them started heading in the direction of the toll gates in Lekki. People had walked for hours. It was time to come home. You blocked them. You didn't allow them to access.
I went to the toll gates.
What were you doing at toll gate? If evil does not rule your hearts,
only for justice.
What were you looking for at toll gate? Was it government that killed Mohbad? In the end, they had to be tear gassed. That was the right thing to do.
Enough of those shenanigans.
Government must not let this strike take place. Whatever it costs, government must do its best to make sure that this strike does not happen. We said that before now, because it takes just something little to trigger violence. People are hungry.
I'm angry.
People are hungry, and when they are hungry, they will be angry. And crime, you see a spike in criminal activities. We are lucky we have not reached the point where people will be breaking into people's homes, the way it happened during COVID. When they were hungry, they were breaking people's shops and all that. We have not reached that point.
But in Lagos, we started seeing them in traffic.
There'll be some places. It's not rampant yet. But government needs to do what is right. And when government said, okay, we are giving 25,000 only as provisional wage increment for all
workers,
low grade, they said no. Every worker must benefit. Every worker must benefit. Look at again, Labour suggested that VAT on diesel should go. They have also agreed that VAT on diesel, value-added tax on diesel, for 6 months, they were waiving it. This will help bring down the price of diesel so that businesses can breathe, big companies can breathe, people who are driving trucks that need diesel and other mass transit, all those buses, they will also access diesel at a much lower price.
A radio station is willing to sell its license because it could no longer function because of this.
Then federal government also said it will commence payment of 75,000 to 15 million households at 25,000 per month for a 3-month period from October to December. When they said they were going to share 8,000, we sat here, we opposed it, that 8,000 is nothing.
Nothing.
Now we talked about 25,000, you know,
Conditional
which
cash
is
transfer.
something. Yeah, conditional cash transfer. Even World Bank always suggests that, look, at a difficult period for people,
The most vulnerable.
yes, you can come up with conditional cash transfer for the most vulnerable of your population. So this is a good step. And apart from that, the matter of CNG buses, to use public transportation, government said it is committed to fast-tracking it. Those buses will come and it will help reduce the pains that people are going through. So Labour has also asked for higher wage award, and that the government has said that it will consider that and set up a subcommittee to work out the details of implementation of how to cushion the effect of subsidy, and even set up machinery to ensure that a new minimum wage. These awards to workers will come before the matter of minimum wage is finalized. We all know that it takes time. It takes time. It can take more than 6 months. Yes. So in the meantime, while they work on a new minimum wage, 6 months, that will be backed by law. For the meantime, let people
enjoy this.
Yes, you can enjoy it, and it will cut across board. I know that is a heavy burden on the government. But at this time, it is necessary for government to do something to ease the pain of Nigerians.
I think we too in the private sector, we will appeal to our employers please, to consider this 35,000
because all of us will go to
6 months.
All of us will go to the same market.
GKB, because a lot of people will say, oh, Labour, you hardly can get up to 2 million people. That's okay. They say
they are just 5% of the population.
Yeah.
So you look at that statistic.
Workers
in Nigeria now are looking at.
I think they are about
what's up.
7%.
They go to the same market.
The challenge we face as a nation is what you've listed. It is unfortunate that the civil service is going to be the core of our reforms, because normally they represent a very small, minute part of. But if you should go back in history to the Udoji Awards, 1973, that led to the hyperinflation that we now got into between 76 and 79, that led to 504 and all that by Obasanjo. This again needs to be handled delicately, because inflation is very funny. The woman selling something in the market will only hear 35,000. The category of people getting that money is not her business. All she wanted to hear was government has paid somebody 25,000, 35,000.
So they have money.
And zoom, up will go the price of pepper. So I don't know what we need to do. The economists will figure that one out. But the reality is that while we are doing this
from having the kind of
for the most vulnerable section of our economy and our population, we should also make sure it does not lead to hyperinflation. Because else it become...
there's no way to...
You know that fella
song? That's why some people opposed even these cash awards in the first place. I believe that it will be a trigger for inflation.
You know, it reminds me of...
Let me quickly run this commercial. When we come back, we'll talk more.
Unwrap joy, unleash taste.
be something we go ginger me. With Tom, I dey breathe for it now. I dey run kilometer. That's why I dey come.
Thank you for staying with us. It's still Journalist Hangout on Monday and reaching home stretch on this topic. GKB, before we went on break.
Yes, I was just trying to give the example of the fella song. Overtake, don't overtake. We are at the time you are making plans for the 25,000, 35,000. Inflation will have eaten up the money in the long run. And that to me is the danger. Because the worst thing we could do right now is to go around in circles. Not trying to solve a problem. I've forgotten the term for it in business management. When you solve a particular problem, you are by creating another problem, by solving one problem. It has a name. That's keep my mind now. That's why I said I agree with Labour that they must monitor this thing very carefully and make sure that it gets to the people it was meant to get to.
And the issue of who are the Nigerians, the 15 million Nigerians that will benefit from this cash
conditional cash transfer.
We have to ensure that we update the register, and the people need it the most must be the people who benefit, because the conditional cash transfer thing is already backed by law.
Yeah.
Before President Buhari left office, he made sure that the thing was passed into law. So the president knows that he has to continue. Many people do not believe in it. They believe that it breeds corruption and all that. But in this critical juncture that we have found ourselves, we need to help the most vulnerable in our society. And I can tell you that that money will go a long way.
It will.
What they come up with now is significant. You can't compare it to
8,000.
The 8,000 that you were talking about before. And I believe that if government can roll out these things quickly, and Labour, you know, we said it that, look, if Labour can see signs of seriousness, they too are reasonable people, you know. So, because before now we were not talking about, okay, what should go to workers. We want them at work. And we can't, some states, even Kwara State that said, okay, that they were limiting the number of this, they had to reverse it because it makes no sense. Productivity will go down if people don't go to work. So we want people to go to work. I'm sure that this money that workers will get, public servants will get, will help them cushion the effect of rise in transportation costs and all that. So, and people will be happy. I just want to see government implement this as quickly as possible. And Labour too also need to show a level of goodwill. We must admit that these are difficult times. Everyone must make sacrifices. So I was reading someone who said, this thing will be very expensive for the government of the day to manage. But we also realize that
money through the removal of subsidies.
Of course, they share the states, local government and federal. They shared over $1 trillion. When did you ever hear that they shared something in excess of $1 trillion? It's because the distributable revenue has gone up. Even FRS now, FRS has already exceeded 8 trillion for the year. No, 8 trillion for the year. So their target, they are hoping that they can meet the target of 12
by the end of next quarter.
So revenue is coming in, and our people also need to benefit from this increased revenue.
How do we make sure that the Nigerian Labour Congress will not go against the run of play? By tomorrow, they won't roll out their thanks for a strike, because yesterday I listened to Ajero is not categorical yet. I think it will still need to carry out some.
That's what they said they will meet today. I think they said they will meet for 12. So to basically officially call off the strike, as it were. But just the point you made that really got to me was members of NLC, the subsectors, like the Nigerian Union of Road Transport Workers and the road owners something. What are they bringing to the table? We are just talking about the cement baggers, as it were. What are they bringing to the table? The level of unnecessary rise in the cost of transportation. Is what is really the core problem.
No control.
So something must be done to ensure that their members too make the necessary sacrifice.
And that's why we need those compressed natural gas-fired buses, because that will mean that the cost of petrol for them will be in the region of 150 naira per liter, which is good. So we need that to come in. We need that to come in. We need those buses to come in. When those buses come in, people have options. If you want to enter expensive bus because you think it's more comfortable for you, that is your choice.
Your Uber Max.
But if government rolls out these buses, people can see them, people will enter them.
As an addendum, if you go to the Oshodi terminal now, Friday evenings, you think you are somewhere in the National Stadium. Because everybody is now going for the BLT buses.
Yes.
Everybody.
That's what people.
So people that normally we have time to stroll in and take a bus, we now have to wait hours. So even the state government,
they need to roll out
new buses.
Those buses. They have those buses.
Yes.
They have the buses.
Uke was asking the workers, where are your buses?
Where are your buses? That's why the man
and they have, when you go to listen, where they keep them, you see so many of them.
It's a Nigerian
but
thing.
we are not seeing them on the roads.
They are not on the roads.
Well, you rent them out for people who want to do Owambe and all that.
And who go for retreats. And that's why you see the buses in town.
But if by the time they set up structures to even help people convert their engines
vehicles to
engines, you
will know that you mean business.
The cost will go down. The cost will go down. People want to see that happen. And that's what we've been saying. I know that it will take a while.
Yeah.
You know, before you build filling stations where people can go and fill.
Or even for electric cars. I understand there are some electric buses
maybe
also.
That one will come later because they don't even, they appear to have prioritized CNG buses over the electric car option. You know, but whatever it is, let these steps be taken.
Yeah, once the transport fare goes down, every other thing will follow.
It will affect even cost of food.
Cost of everything.
Yes.
Because you know you can get to your place for a particular amount of money. That of it going on. Because he also the Abule Egba access, which is about the biggest, the busiest, and that's to Kurudu. It's where these buses should be. And I'm using this opportunity, whoever is in charge of transport in Lagos. Please supply more buses to those routes.
And if the red line now, if you start running the red line now, it will help. No,
the red line, because before the old railway line, the one, buses from Osho, the people who sit on top in their hundreds, and they are going to Agbado. Once the red line starts, it will move about 1 million a day. And I'm telling you, even with 1 million a day, government will need to increase the frequency.
In Lagos.
For people to move out to that.
People are happy to get into those trains.
It's all over the world. The train is the best.
Lagos State has done well.
The terminals and everything, good looking.
Yeah.
Good looking.
I hope those women have left those market women. I hope they've left.
Yes, they will have to leave.
So Oluyari?
They will have to leave. They have to leave.
You get them 2 days. That one expired 2 days ago.
Get them 2 days.
So that Lagos can
don't kill yourself.
Because apart from the trains being for mobility, it's also a site for tourists.
Yes.
And when you are driving it,
make the
place look untidy, and you look at people and you wonder.
Planika Idibalo, GKB, thank you for your contribution.
Always a pleasure.
It was nice to have you around. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 p.m. Join us this Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 for journalist hangout on Sunday. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Ozuba. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.
It's a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Are you worried about the safety and security of your home at night? Do you wish to know when intruders come close to your home? Or do you want to protect what matters to your family from anywhere at any time? What if there was a convenient, affordable way to keep surveillance in your home without having to worry about wires, installations, or heavy light bills? Introducing the incredible Sidebulb HD Cam, the robotic 360-degree two-way torque camera with action tracking technology. Sidebulb is the ultimate solution for discreet and powerful surveillance. It's so easy to install, and the app lets you rotate and view the video from your Sidebulb in real time from any smartphone. You can drop in from anywhere and check in with our two-way talk technology. Talk and listen at the same time.
Hello, Mommy.
Hey, sweetie. I'll be home soon, okay?
Sidebulb's advanced tracking technology locks onto motion and tracks in real time. Set the siren alarm to go off when motion is detected and keep intruders away. Check in on your home while you're away. Make sure the kids got home safely. Interact with visitors at your doorway or surprise a trespasser.
Surveillance in a light bulb. I was amazed at the 360-degree rotation. It gives me a full view of my house and I can check in on my kids. The footage is clear and the night vision is so impressive. The best part, I can add multiple sidebulbs for a complete home surveillance.
I really like my Sidebulb. It's so easy to use. I just downloaded the app, I put it on my phone, and I add it up and run in about 3 minutes.
Traditional surveillance systems are bulky, expensive, and difficult to install. But with Sidebulb HD Cam's innovative design, installation is as fast as changing a light bulb, and it's made for indoor and outdoor surveillance.
The Sidebulb HD Cam is now available in Nigeria, exclusively from ShopX TV. You could be paying up to 200,000 naira for an indoor and outdoor security system that doesn't fully secure your home. But call the number on your screen now and get the Sidebulb HD Cam for just 45,000 naira and get peace of mind. And that's not all. If you call now, we'll give you an extra Sidebulb at no extra cost. That means you buy one and get one free for 45,000 naira. But wait, there's more. If you order now, you get the Sidebulb HD Cam delivered to you for free wherever you are in Nigeria. So, call the number on your screen now or visit our website to place your order while stock lasts. The proceeding was a paid presentation brought to you by ShopX TV.
Hello, NIDA Impact lovers. We have good news for you. In the quest to keep Nigerians abreast of the happenings in the digital space, NIDA Impact, a flagship TV program of the National Information Technology Development Agency, is now showing here on Television Continental. It is, as always, educative, informative, and innovative. NIDA Impact. Keep a date with NIDA Impact, your guide to a digital Nigeria.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Francis there. Nigeria started on a very promising note in 1960 when the Union Jack was lowered and our green, white, green flag was hoisted. It's now 6 decades and 3 years after that historic moment. But is this the Nigeria our founding fathers fought for and handed over? Well, let me allow you to answer that question. You can join the conversation right now on X, formerly Twitter, using the hashtag Beyond100 Days. Remember to tag at TVC News NG. Happy Independence Anniversary, everyone. You're watching Beyond 100 Days with Nifemi Oguntoye. The 63rd Independence Anniversary, we understand that it's being celebrated in low-key, according to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume. It's in line with the present economic realities. Perhaps it's also a tip as to where we are 63 years after. And barring any last-minute changes, organized labor is due for a full-blown nationwide strike in less than 6 hours. The petrol subsidy removal is the issue here, but we understand that the president has approved 35,000 naira provisional wage increment for all treasury-paid federal government worker for the next 6 months. And this is following federal government delegation meeting with the leadership of NLC and TUC on Sunday. According to the federal government, it's committed to the provision of funds for micro and small-scale enterprises, as well as waivers on VAT on diesel for the next 6 months. Also, the federal government announced it will commence payment of 75,000 naira to 15 million households at 25,000 naira per month for a 3-month period from October to December this year. The president mentioned in the speech on Sunday that the government will be commencing this month. The social safety net is expected to be extended to cover an additional 15 million vulnerable households. So perhaps we're probably going to be looking at double of that number for the households, if I'm correct. Earlier on Sunday, the federal government and organized labor met on measures to address the dispute that is ongoing, arising from the removal of subsidy on petrol and also some other critical issues. The federal government agreed to fast-track the provision of compressed natural gas buses to ease public transportation and also waive value-added tax on diesel for the next 6 months. A subcommittee will now be constituted to work out the details of implementation of all the items as we know them. That's what we're talking about this evening. We're looking at what's happening between Labour and federal government, but most importantly, we're also going to be talking about Nigeria at 63. Welcome on the program, everyone. I'm joined now to discuss this. Yemi Makpaderu is strategy and governance expert. Thank you for joining us on the program this evening. Also joining me is reputational risk management professional Oyekachi Adekoya. A gentleman, happy Independence anniversary to you. Mr. Makpaderu, let me begin with you. From 25,000 on Sunday, it became 35,000. I think from 25,000 to low-grade workers, it became 25,000 to all federal workers. But by this morning, we understand it's 35,000 naira across board. What do you make of this latest intervention by the federal government?
Yeah, thank you, Nifemi, for having me. Happy Independence to you and to Nigerians. And a big shout out to my friend and brother, Oyekachi. Nice to be on the same table this evening. Let me just start by saying that it is heartwarming that we are seeing some movement, in the negotiation between Labour and the federal government. I want to give a lot of kudos to the Labour movement, for being reasonable, for being responsible and responsive, even in the pursuit of better living conditions for the long-suffering Nigerian workers. I also am excited that the federal government of Nigeria, the executive in particular, with support, of the legislature, no doubt, has also listened, to the yearnings of Nigerians. The president, in his independence speech, said that he has a feeling heart and a listening ear. And what that means is that Nigerians should not be in any doubt as to whether their president actually feels the pain, the pang, of the economic realities of today. What is even more, the decision or the agreement of the federal government to adjust upwardly all the monetary or financial palliatives, that it has or that is proposing based on Labour's demand and the reality of the time is a further testimony to what can be done when government reduces, this high level of profligacy, which has permeated our system to the extent that public trust in political office holders, public officials, and indeed our public institutions have been greatly eroded. I also want to say that this offer, if it eventually crystallizes, will also underscore the fidelity of the president and his government to the promise that the proceeds from savings on subsidy on petroleum products will actually be, diverted to a large extent, to ensure the well-being and welfare, and of course, the security of Nigerians.
Well, the workers we're talking about, Mr. Makpaderu, are a very minute fraction of the Nigerian populace. So it begs the question of, are we saving money from subsidy to give to federal workers? The kind of implication or impact that saved money from petrol subsidy should be on a larger scale, don't you agree?
Oh, perfectly. And I think that is also not lost on the government. We're just talking about one aspect, of the several interventions that the federal government has rolled out. Recall that before now, there has been an infrastructure, the level of infrastructure, infrastructure, talking about roads, hospitals, educational institutions, which are available, for the benefit of all Nigerians. Indeed, there is also a leg of the intervention, which is busing 1,000, to 15 million families. Potentially, that means we're going to be having close to 80 to 90 million Nigerians that will benefit from all of this. These are short-term measures to cushion, the effect of mobile to push the effect of the spiraling inflation and the cost, of particularly food items. But beyond all of these palliatives, it is our interventions. It is important that we begin to look at a more sustainable approach to ensuring that the well-being of Nigerians is greatly enhanced and their dignity is enhanced.
We're all looking forward to that, but there are some who would say there is the sense that government appears to be foot-dragging in implementing some of its intervention, particularly when you consider that this latest intervention is coming a few hours to a planned nationwide strike. But what do you think? How strategic is this nationwide strike at this time, if you are considering its economic implication on the people?
Well, I am not, a part of labor, but I'm aware that if body language is anything to go by, it is a possibility, really, that labor may give, for the umpteenth time, really, benefit of the doubt to the government, because they know the implication of, crippling on the has to resort, to strikes. And I must commend, the leadership of labor that, yes, there have been several threats of strikes before now, but they seem to have prevaricated, on the understanding that, government will respond and react to some of our demands. And I think the movement that we are seeing on the part of government, the commitment that we are seeing on the part of government, and the fact that the labor centers, the two major labor centers, have agreed to call an executive committee meeting of their unions today to table the promissory notes, as they refer to it, given by the president, at the delegation of the president, representatives of the president, to their different for terms that there might just be an application of the brakes before the end of today on the proposed industrial action.
Well, interesting days ahead. We understand that organized labor is currently meeting with federal government delegation at the State House, looking forward to what the decision will be as we count down to the 3rd of October. But right now, let's talk about independence anniversary. Nigerians born in 1960 are now 63 years old this year. Interestingly, that's higher than the current life expectancy in the country. And we can go on and on to talk about everything that is not working. But Nigeria has also survived the predictions of doomsayers in the area of its indivisibility. What would you say have worked in favor of the Nigerian project since independence? We're going to return to Mr. Mark Padero in the course of this conversation as we work on getting that connection clearer. If you're there, I was asking, what do you think has worked for us as a country? I mean, there are many people who had said that Nigeria wouldn't survive for this long, irrespective of the ups and downs. We're still together as one entity 63 years later.
Well, for me, I think this is one of the things that we need to celebrate about Nigeria. Nigeria is one of the most diverse countries of the world. Over, 400, linguistic groups, in the country. Diversity in terms of religion, ethnicity, in terms of social configuration, and the rest of it. I must say, for a nation that has survived a civil war and that has somehow kept its fabrics, together 50 years and over days, we should say that we have cause to be thankful. However, have we succeeded in building a nation? Have we succeeded in the task of nation building? Do we have, social cohesion in Nigeria today? The answer to me is certainly a no. But is there a desire, by Nigerians, or at least the critical mass of the people, to have Nigeria as an indivisible entity with, a higher level of fair security and justice? I'll say yes. The cost of division is very high. Today, there's centripetal forces seem to be having, the bigger hand in the community of nations. So together, I believe that we are stronger. But again, people must have a sense that there will be equity, there will be justice, and there will be fairness. And I think the president also, alluded to this in his Independence Day address, that for him, there shall be no form of discrimination, on any front in terms of the composition of his government, in terms of dispensation of patronage, and of course in the delivery of good governance. So that to me is reassuring, but we still have a long walk, to having a cohesive nation where there is a very high sense of patriotism and nationalism. But potentially, I see Nigeria remaining cohesive ad infinitum.
Well, so the first few years after independence, there was fiscal federalism under a regional structure, and that in some way promoted healthy competition in terms of socio-economic and, cultural, realities along regional lines. Do you agree with the school of thought that a distortion of that independence template is largely responsible for where we are right now as a nation?
Well, looking back, one would say that those who are pushing the argument of regionalism may have a point. But again, I ask myself, the regionalism lasted for just 6 years after independence. So what are those factors that led, to the disintegration, of our democracy of the First Republic? If indeed all were as rosy as we tend, to paint it now. There is a challenge that we have as human beings. Yesterday is always better, than today in the eyes of many. It's always the old days. Having said that, I think the conversation really should be around having a proper federal structure, which I believe, will ensure that centers of development are further devolved down to where the people feels it the most. It will interest you that in all of the conversations that we are having, the focus has been primarily on the federal government of Nigeria, whereas the federal government of Nigeria is not entitled to about 52% of the federally collected percent or thereabout go to the states and local government. And that is in addition to the internally generated revenues that these government centers, that accrues to them. So it is over the years, our over-centralization has made the people to not view the state and local government as, centers for progress and for development. And so this has left those who are at the helm at these levels to almost escape with blue murder, because we do not hold them responsible and accountable. And I think in moving forward, there has to be a change of mindset.
Indeed.
For people to know that indeed there are several layers of people that owe them obligation of service.
Absolutely.
And such centers should be held, accountable.
Let's attempt to bring in reputational risk management professional Oyekashi Adekoya in on this conversation. Mr. Adekoya, if you had an Hausa name, it would have been just perfect, on independence anniversary.
I do have one actually. It's called Ndasu.
Are you for real?
Ndasu Adekoya.
Only you, Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo. Well, we're going to talk about that later on. But speak to what's happening right now. We're trying to find out what has worked for us because, the conversation I've heard around has been what's not working. And that's a very easy one to have. But Africa has seen an increase in coup d'etat in recent years. But Nigeria has had successful democratic transitions, at least in the past 23 years thereabout. What do you think has worked, irrespective of the myriad of things that are not working?
Okay, I think I'd like to be very pragmatic here. First, we owe this democracy to those who fought very hard during what we call the June 12th debacle and crisis that we had in Nigeria. We are also blessed with a bit of diversity in that we have over 250 ethnic groups. So for you to maintain effective hold of the country, there must be some give and take. And so whether it's military or the civilian rule, you must reach across the different levers of power across the major ethnic grouping. And so that constant quest for some level of balance is what pushes some form of compromise in positions and has held Nigeria together for some time now. But more practically, if you look at the administration of Obasanjo then in 1999, he did do a lot to disincentivize the military from joining any crazy quest for a military rule. So basically what he did was to throw more incentives at the other ranks, knowing that it is the other rank soldiers who carry out the coup. And then, of course, the Nigerian military has undergone some major restructuring. It's very difficult to sink 2 or 3 divisions across the country and then implement a coup. So I think that from a very practical steps, there are a number of things working for us. But importantly, we've taken very proactive steps to ensure that a coup does not work here. So maybe that has played some strong part. I definitely feel so. As to what again has worked, I'm not sure that at $1 to 1,000 something, there's much we can point at. Even when I think it's Fitch or so did a rating and assessed that our effective unencumbered foreign reserves about 3.3 billion thereabout. Not that to say that it's a problem created by this administration, but you can trace all the faults that we have back to 1986 when we started the structural adjustment program. So we remain a country that is in a bit of a paradoxical situation. There's lack in the midst of plenty. We have foreign interest operators that don't necessarily wish for Nigeria to raise their head above the current levels where we find ourselves. So for any president in Nigeria, it's an uphill climb, battling the centrifugal forces in the country and then battling international interest groups again for some stability. So
all right, let me just squeeze one more in, because we had difficulties connecting with you since the start of the show. But how significant will you say the echoes of secession are as they are today? Because there seems to be there's a semblance of progress. The military was just talking about an end to sit at home in the southeast region of Nigeria. But how much attention do you think Nigeria should be paying to this development, irrespective of the success you think it's made?
No, the question is, you must remember that if you did that, I'm sure you did government in secondary school, we were taught in social studies also, public opinion, what it is and what it is not. It's just generally a set of beliefs held by a few, fostered on the majority. So when you hear the shouts of division, you just look at it. It's a shout of interest, whose interest is at stake. I don't think the people of the Southeast care too much about what's happening in Abuja, as they don't really care about what's happening in their state capitals. And that's the same thing to those in the Northeast or Northwest. All everybody wants is good governance. And so when the politicians in some part of the country fail at providing the dividends of democracy to their people, they can rather very quickly and conveniently point to the center and say, there you go, your problem is in Abuja. And I think that's part of the kind of politics that we play. When we emphasize and, regionalize every simple thing that government should do. So this call of divisions in Nigeria are not strong as we see them. Thankfully, I have some heritage from the Southeast, from the Southwest. I have businesses everywhere in this country, and Nigerians are Nigerians. A hospitable part of us is very strong. It's the politicians who are the noisemakers. Remember, Buhari then said he doesn't like to work with politicians because they are noisemakers. So if you hear that noise coming from a particular part of the country, it's just the noise before the settlement. So if you cry the loudest, then you get settled the most. For me, that's the distraction to the real issues. The real issues are the issue of governance and the betterment of the lives of the people of Nigeria. Wherever that comes from, I feel very strongly that the people will appreciate it and focus on the basic aspirations that they have.
So much task ahead of the Bola Tinubu administration. We wish him all the best. Onyekachi Adekoya, you added an Hausa name earlier. What did you say it is? Reputational risk management professional. Thank you for joining us on the program. And also strategy and governance expert, Yemi Makpaderu. Mr. Makpaderu was saying hi to you earlier, but you were not online, Mr. Adekoya. Well, Mr. Makpaderu, thank you so much for talking to us as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, that's our program today. You can watch it again at midnight and at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Happy Independence Anniversary, everyone. I'm Nifemi Oguntoye.
Following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Do you struggle with having an active and healthy lifestyle due to your busy schedule? Do you find it difficult to make it to the gym? You want to improve your overall health, but don't know where and how to start? Medical experts agree that walking, running, and jogging are amongst the best ways to stay fit and enjoy a great active and healthy lifestyle. What if there was a convenient and affordable way to improve your health, improve your mood, and lose weight right in your own home? Introducing the SportX Digital Compact Treadmill, the compact foldable treadmill that makes being active and losing weight fast and easy. Just unfold it and walk, jog, or run while you watch your favorite programs on TV. And when you're done, just fold it and store it away. Now that's convenience. The secret is its advanced design that houses a 1-horsepower motor that is twice the size of most treadmills, packed into a nice compact unit, powering every step you take. You get the SportX Digital Compact Treadmill System complete with a rugged commercial-grade ultra-durable traction belt, large LCD multifunctional display that displays speed, time, distance, calories, and has 12 different exercise programs, as well as a magnetic safety key for added security.
The SportX treadmill has really helped me get back in shape after childbirth. I love it because it's compact and can fit anywhere in the house. And when I'm done, I fold and put it away. Easy peasy.
This is the best piece of equipment for people like me who want to stay active without leaving the home. I simply unfold it and use it while I watch my favorite program on TV.
Joining the gym can cost an absolute fortune, and you could be paying up to 600,000 naira in annual gym fees. Get the SportX treadmill to save the cost and work out from the convenience of your home. You could pay 500,000 naira for a treadmill like this, but you can get the SportX treadmill for not 400,000 naira, not even 300,000 naira. Order right now and get this for just 294,500 naira only. But wait, there's more. If you order now, you get the SportX Digital Compact Treadmill delivered to you for free, wherever you are in Nigeria. The SportX Compact Digital Treadmill comes with ShopX 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied with the treadmill, send it back for a full refund. But hurry, limited stock available. So, call the number on your screen now or visit our website to place your order while stock lasts. The proceeding was a paid presentation brought to you by ShopX TV.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking it.
I welcome you to another episode of Nafdac and Your Health, that TV program that preoccupies itself with ensuring that your well-being is guaranteed by making sure that you patronize only wholesome food products, drugs, and medical equipment. My name is Amanda Ugo. Today's episode of Nafdac and Your Health begins with the significance of micro, small, and medium enterprises and how Nafdac is encouraging them to the benefits of the Nigerian people and the country at large, and how Nafdac is expanding to get its regulatory activities closer to the people through the establishment of new offices. And then we'll move on to talk about how the establishment of a second state office in Ota, Ogun State, has helped the enforcement team of Nafdac to uncover an illegal herbal mixture production site in Ijoko, Ota. Nafdac, in its efforts to safeguard the health of the Nigerian people by regulating food, drugs, and other related products under its purview, also encourages the production of these products locally through micro, small, and medium enterprises, otherwise known as MSMEs. This is to reduce the country's dependence on foreign-made goods, develop local production and entrepreneurship, which invariably provides employment opportunities. In doing this, the agency ensures that good manufacturing practices are adhered to. This support for MSMEs has indeed been of great value to the country.
Because of the sector, we have put in place stakeholders meeting, dissemination of information, assisted registration, because our registration process now is e-registration, and knowing that many people are not very familiar with working with computers and registering online, we have made it possible for our staff to assist any MSME applicant to register their product online. Aside from that, we also we join with the presidential initiative. We join at the MSME clinics, where we also emphasize and encourage them, explain concerns they may have. And in many of these MSME clinics, you also have the different sister agencies there, like the Bank of the Industry, you have some, you have CAC, just to be sure that their questions are answered by the respective agencies. To support MSMEs further, we actually created an Office of Trade and International Relations. So we rearranged the functionality of the staff that are there, and these staff are in the one-stop shop part of MSMEs. We have a one-stop shop office made up of Nafdac staff that is there to also encourage and guide them, answer questions. So we now have an Office of Trade and International Relations. This office, we believe, will also add to the impact that the agency is having on MSMEs.
As Nafdac encourages the establishment and development of MSMEs, the agency also tries to bring its regulatory activities closer to the people. This is necessary as the micro, small, and medium enterprises are situated among the people. This is not only making it easy to regulate the MSMEs, the people in communities can also get to understand the significance of Nafdac and are able to access the agency when necessary. In this drive, the agency has in recent times built new offices in various locations across the country, with zonal directors and directors coordinating and reporting to the Director General. Mrs. Roseline Ajayi is the Zonal Director, Southwest Zone of Nafdac.
It's quite large from Ota office here, which is the most recent office, commissioned office, to Ibadan, to Ekiti, Ondo, and Osun states. What I do is I have a work plan to visit every state, minimum twice in a year. I visit and I have a program for the visit, and the program includes training of staff, giving them updates, reminding them about civil service, the mandate of Nafdac, the expectation of government, expectation from government of Nafdac, expectation from the management of Nafdac, and expectations of stakeholders and consumers. So we interact one-on-one with staff and as a group. When I visit any state, I first discuss with the state coordinator, I discuss with the state management team, and then the entire staff. And we brainstorm, we talk about their challenges and areas that can be addressed. And then the ones that I personally cannot address, I escalate to the DG, and many times when I do, she's always supportive.
Still, Nafdac is not relenting in getting even closer to the people and making the agency accessible to MSMEs and even consumers of regulated products.
In all our offices, we have a special desk for MSME. And the whole essence of decentralization of registration process is out of the concern for MSME. We are aware that the government is very passionate about nurturing and grooming the MSME sector. And so, to help them to, many of the MSME operators are into food products. So, like you have rightly said, there is a dedicated laboratory in Oshodi for, MSME products, such that timelines are met. Once a product gets to the lab and it is of MSME, they handle it with dispatch. But beyond then, like I've said earlier, the decentralization is to speed up registration process for the MSME. And then we have the state's offices where they can initiate the registration. And then registration of MSME does not have to go to Lagos. Many times it ends at the zonal office. So if every state has a MSME desk, they process their application, conduct the inspection, draw sample to the lab, and when we have satisfactory inspection and laboratory report, it is being scheduled for approval that takes place at the zonal office every month.
Pharmacist Shaba Muhammad, the director, North Central Zone, also affirms that Nafdac has recorded a huge success in terms of the number of MSMEs so far registered.
The aspect of MSMEs, one area that Nafdac has done excellently well by decentralizing registration to the zone offices. And to this extent, in fact, we have been able to register 1,408 products since I took over, which is just barely a year today. And that's quite a good number. What it means is that a lot of people have been taken out of poverty. At least they have something to do, they are doing something legal, and all these products are actually what drive the economy. And to have 1,408 products registered just within North Central Zone, I think it's a very big thing. When you multiply that by about 7, you can see the number of the products that have been registered on the MSE in the country. That just for a short period of time. Actually, when you talk about literacy, it's just maybe they are not able to communicate properly in English, but they know what they are doing, they know about the rules, they know about the conditions, the hygienic condition of where they should produce these things. And of course, we guide them on the registration process. But after that, of course, they know how to really develop their SOP. So we get those things translated to English for them. And that way, they are able to also meet our documentation needs. So they are doing excellently well on MSME.
It is to further encourage more MSMEs to develop and make the agency get even closer to the people that Nafdac recently opened a new office in Ota, Ogun State, bringing the number of the agency's office in the state to 2.
This Ota office came to being after visiting the former Ogun State, which was in Abeokuta, and I discovered that they were having challenges going for surveillance, for routine, and then the bad roads and all that. So that became a motivation for me that we needed a second office in Ogun, because Ogun had a very, very high number of facilities, over 9,000 facilities, when a state like Ekiti, Ondo had just 2,000. So I felt 9,000 is a lot for one office to handle. So we began to think, and I discussed with the DG, and she said that was a good point and encouraged me. And then we strategized and came up with the idea that Ogun needed, if not splitted into 3 senatorial districts, at least we should start with 2. So we now have 2 axes. There are 20 local government areas in Ogun State, So the Abeokuta office, which was also recently commissioned in May, is still handling about 13 local governments of both Ogun East and Ogun Central. And then we now have Ota office that is covering Ogun West. And of course, we know that there's the high concentration of companies are in this axis, because we have Agbara here, we have Ota here, we have Ewekoro and Ifo. So they have high concentration of facilities. So even though it's just about 7 local government, they have a lot to do.
With the new Nafdac office located at Plot 1, Plot 6, near Obasanjo Farms Junction, within the Ogun State Housing Corporation, OTA, Ogun State, people of OTA and its environs can now have easier access to relate with Nafdac.
All the sectors are covered under my jurisdiction. We have a lot of food industries, we have a lot of pharma industries, water, all regulated products, cosmetics, they are all covered under this axis. You bring your applications here and it is attended to here. You start and end. But the other components that are not covered, the issue of laboratory, sent to the laboratory, RNRC does their job. But we ensure that we inspect those facilities, and then at the end of the day, they get their product registered.
You have been watching Nafdac and Your Health. The program is not over yet. We'll return after the short break.
Nafdac has observed the dangerous practice of ripening of fruits with carbide, despite persistent Nafdac campaign against it. To this end, Nafdac hereby informs the general public to note the following: that calcium carbide is an explosive chemical. It changes the skin color of the fruit whilst the fruit remains raw. Calcium carbide also causes diarrhea, ulcer on the skin, mouth, and throat, burning sensation in the chest and abdomen, neurological system disorder, dizziness, memory loss, low blood pressure, cerebral edema, kidney and liver diseases. Nafdac therefore advises the general public to desist from the use of these dangerous chemicals, but allow fruits to ripen naturally on the plant. However, if fruits must be ripened artificially, Nafdac has provided 3 easy and safe ways of ripening fruits. 1. Collect your fruits and put into a paper bag. Seal it and wait for a few days. 2. Apple and banana peels can be added to the fruit to help it ripe faster. 3. Direct exposure to sunlight facilitates ripening of fruits. This message is from the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, Nafdac. Nafdac, safeguarding the health of the nation.
Thank you for staying tuned to Nafdac and Your Health. Let us proceed to our next feature on the program. There is no gainsaying that efficacious herbal products exist. This underscores the fact that Africa has curative substances that can be used to great advantage in tackling myriads of diseases and ailments. As much as Nafdac acknowledges this, the regulatory agency does not undermine the fact that herbal medicines should be well researched and produced under good and hygienic conditions. This is why the agency is always ready to collaborate with practitioners of herbal medicines for the benefit of all. This the agency does through its Herbal Medicine Products Committee.
Registration of herbal medicinal products. I believe that the herbal practitioners are satisfied or contented with where we are. The issue that has come up on and off is our expectations. Our expectations are based on international standards, and actually we actually expect minimal documentation from them, and I mean relatively minimal, but we still need to know the history, what the herbal medicinal product has been used for before. So if anybody goes to our website and go through the images that flash, and you see the herbal medicine image, you go there, you click on the template in terms of what we expect. Anybody can see on our website our expectations. On that particular web page, we asterisk some points. Those are points or documents that we need to be provided. We did not asterisk some other points to just give room for as many as possible to submit. If a herbal practitioner is from the university, a researcher, we expect such researcher to submit a lot compared to our herbalists. So I would say that they are contented in terms of registration. However, when we now have to go, they have to go online to do registration. Sometimes there are some hitches, and that happens with any electronically based registration portal. And I believe that we've been coming on their side to help whenever there are issues in terms of the electronic registration.
However, it is appalling to know that in spite of Nafdac's efforts to encourage MSMEs and, of course, herbal medicine practitioners by simplifying the registration and regulatory activities on these products, some producers of these products continue to defy the directives and stipulations of Nafdac. The establishment of the new Nafdac office at Ota and the sensitization of the people of the area through the media spurred a customer complaint that took the Southwest Zonal Director of the agency, Mrs. Roseline Ajayi, and the Director in charge of the Ogun 2 office, Mr. Beno Philip, to a filthy, uncompleted building where a herbal mixture called Jedi Jedi herbal drink is illegally produced in under grossly unhygienic condition.
The owner actually visited the office because they closed the premises and invited the owner to come to the office, and he came to the office. Truly, he confessed with a written statement that he was registered in 2017 and he had evidence. And then it expired 2019. He did not do anything about it. He did not show up for renewal. So from 2019 to 2021 is a circle, and 2021 to 2023 is another circle. So he has kept evading renewal. More worrisome is not the renewal that he has evaded, is the premises that he relocated to an unauthorized, unapproved one that put the health of the consumers at risk. It put the health of the consumers at risk, and then one will begin to wonder what Nafdac is doing. So for me, it's one of the gains of creation of water, because we became accessible to people. Before, if people see things like this, when you think of what it will cost you to go to Abeokuta to report, the stress, the bad road, the vehicle and all that, they will just look at it and say, well, maybe one day God will help us. But now that we are in Ota, anybody can, can just get to the office to report activities such as this. This is a herbal drink, alcoholic bitters. He has a range of these products, and then some, actually he had evidence that it was registered in the first instance, but some he could not provide evidence of the registration status. He has a lot of brands, but all herbal bitters, alcoholic bitters. So only God knows what he was using this room for, but from what we can see, this is possibly the vessels he was using to do mixing or compounding. Behind here, where we have this algae growth, this is where his packaging materials are. You can see the bottles here and then the caps. If you move close, you will see the caps. This is the packaging material. So this is possibly what he's using as filter. This is his filter. And what are in the white cakes, we are assuming that that is the raw materials. We don't know what it is, but we assume that it is the raw material. No identity, no label, no labeling information, so we don't know what concoction is there. The roof is open. This is repurposed sockaway. For instance, in Nafdac, we don't even know where the source of his water is. If we had been invited to look at this place, we would have advised him the location of the sockaway with the right distance from the source of water. But these premises now, we don't know what his source of water is, whether it's public means, if there is any, or tanker is supplying him, or he has a borehole. Nobody knows. So we cannot say anything about his source of water. But this is the proposed sockaway. Without Nafdac coming to advise him, it's possible this sockaway is very close to the borehole, which is not, we have a requirement of a minimum distance between the sockaway and the borehole. Of course, he had a wind that we are coming, so he moved away from here before Nafdac got to this place. The man had cleared a host of his materials from here before getting here, but he did not deny that it is his premises because he responded to the invitation given to him, the invitation letter to report to the office. He got to the office and admitted that it is his premises. He relocated to this place without approval, that he had registration. He produced the ones that he had. Some other products, he could not produce evidence that it was registered. The ones he produced had expired, but there are some that he could not even produce evidence that they were registered for him in the first instance.
This is how far we can go on this edition of the program. We'll be back again, same time, same station next week to give you updates on the activities of Nafdac at safeguarding the health of the nation. Meanwhile, if you have any information on the activities that can jettison the efforts of Nafdac at safeguarding the health of the nation, please contact us.
You can reach Nafdac via toll-free numbers. For inquiries, call 0700 162 3322. For complaints, call 0800 162 3322. You may also email Nafdac at nafdac.gov.ng. If you have complaints about any form of misconduct, you can reach the Reforms Unit via email reforms@nafdac.gov.ng or call the Reforms hotlines on 0909 763 0506 or 0909 763 0507. Nafdac, customer focused, agency minded.
Remember, importing, producing, distributing, marketing and selling of unwholesome food products, cosmetics and medical equipment are criminal offenses that pose danger to our health. Join us in the fight against these crimes. Till we meet again next week, stay safe.
Wherever you see destruction, it's because God is absent. There is no destruction in God. So who started killing from Genesis? Satan. Jesus exposed him. The thief cometh not, but for to steal, to kill, and to destroy. But I am come that you may have life and have it how much? More abundant. I prophesy as your amen is coming like thunder. Whatever is yours, receive it now.
Muhammad Ali was born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky on January 17, 1942. His birth name was Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. He began training as an amateur boxer at age 12, and at 18 he won a gold medal in the light heavyweight division at the 1960 Summer Olympics and turned professional later that year. In his early years as a professional, Clay was more highly regarded for his charm and personality than for his ring skills. He sought to raise public interest in his fights by reading childlike poetry and spouting self-descriptive phrases like float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. On February 25, 1964, at age 22, he pulled off a major upset, defeating Sonny Liston to win the World Heavyweight